Welcome to the Wisdom Lifestyle Money Show. I'm your host, Scott Dillingham. The goal of the show is to show you how you can grow personally, financially, have a larger net worth, and leverage your largest asset to help you develop the person you want to be. I take you through all the steps I did from being nothing to being told that I was nobody and I was never going to accomplish anything, from getting kicked out of high school to owning a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio in my own company with more than 20 employees. You'll meet our partners, you'll meet our friends, and you'll quickly discover how you can improve your life. So listen in and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Wisdom Lifestyle Money Show. I'm your host, Scott Dillingham. Today, I have a very special guest with us, Sergio Manzor. Welcome, Sergio. How are you?
Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me. Good to hear from you.
Yes, awesome. I'm so glad you're here. For those of you that don't know Sergio, he had a large portfolio in Canada. I believe you still have, working the corporate life over there, wanted change, and now he's transitioned to the Dominican Republic. He's a realtor there, and he's working with all kinds of foreign and Canadian investors that are investing in infrastructure projects, new developments, that type of thing in the Dominican Republic. So I wanted to have you on so we could hear a little bit about your story, growing up, to figure out how you got from where you started to where you are now. And then I'd love to hear about the Dominican Republic.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, so I was born and raised in Argentina. I immigrated to Canada in 2007. By that time, I was in my mid 30s, so already as an adult. Yeah, and I'm an engineer by trade. I always worked in Fortune 500 companies in different areas. Never really worked on a technical area. But yeah, corporate jobs overall. I also did some management consulting, and when I came to Canada, no difference, right? I found a job in a good company. I progressed from there, and real estate for my wife and I is something that we discovered just about 6 years ago as a way of accelerating our wealth creation process, right? I was very skeptical about real estate, and like many people for many years, until I eventually saw that, okay, this is working for a lot of people. I started educating myself and jumping into it. The first steps that we did, I would say probably the first 3 years or so, we bought a bunch of single family properties in Welland, the Niagara region in Ontario, that we converted into legal duplexes and basically applied the BRRRR strategy. Okay, refinancing, rent, etc. Then do it again. So we did probably, I think we did nine such projects, and it worked really well. And we got that extra bump from the from the market appreciation, right? So I'm always a firm believer that you should not expect invest for market appreciation, because that's a little bit speculative. But if you invest in the right environment and appreciation happen, then that's a big bonus, right? That you want to capture. So by early 2021, because prices, raised, increased so much in Ontario, I started looking for other areas to invest, and then we shifted the focus to Calgary, Alberta. So we have 6 deals right now in Calgary that we did during 2021 and 2022. And those luckily are working really well. And then at the beginning of 2022, we actually started looking for a vacation property somewhere in the Caribbean and Central America. For different reasons, we ended up here in the north coast of the Dominican Republic. So we bought that property initially just as an investment, but a few months later, I decided to quit my full-time job. That happened at the end of 2022, and that really gave us the opportunity to say, hey, now we are free to live anywhere we want, right? Or not everywhere, but in many different places. And that's how we decided to come here with the family, right? At the end of 2022, as an adventure, a decision that we made based on lifestyle. And it's been great so far. I mean, we love it here. I am investing here. I've done, 4 deals so far. And we also have the property portfolio in Ontario and Alberta that we manage from here, right? So
That's awesome. That's so cool. And what does your family think of this? Because I know you brought them with you.
yeah, no, we love it here. I can tell you, my boys are now 15 and 13, so they were teenagers when we came here. The transition, has some issues, right? It's never that easy with kids that age. But, a year after, they are fully adapted. They have their lots of activities, lots of friends, and they're having a really good time. They're going to a private school here. It's a really good school. There are actually 3 private schools with the English curriculum because there are so many foreigners, right? So many expats living here in the north coast of the Dominican Republic. So it's a very interesting community. It's a good place to invest. It's a place, of course, where many people come on vacation, but an increasing number of people are coming here to live full time. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
not talking about just retirees as it was in the past, but also, younger people, young families with kids that can work remotely, the so-called digital nomads, that they live here all the time or that they spend at least all Canadian winters here.
No, that's awesome. It looks really nice. So for those of you that are watching this podcast, you'll see the nice trees and the sunshine behind you. So we're all a little jealous here in Canada. It's kind of cold today.
Oh,
That's
good,
awesome.
good, good.
But okay, so an investor, right? Because I know the markets are different, right? We are now doing financing in Canada and the States, right? And the States is completely different than Canada, right? And I'm
That's
sure the Dominican Republic is the same thing. So can you tell me like what a Canadian should look for or be careful of when they're investing in the Dominican Republic?
Yeah, that's a great question. From a financing point of view, financing options here are much more limited than what you would find in the US or Canada, unfortunately, but it's still doable. So many people think that you can only buy properties cash here. That's the only way. And that's definitely, what most people do for a variety of reasons. But there are some local banks, the equivalent of the A lenders in Canada, that are willing to lend to some foreigners, especially citizens of the US and Canada, and they will underwrite those cases as if you're still living in the US and Canada. So they want to see, proof of income, they want to see your financial statements, all your numbers, calculate the DCR, get a credit score, etc. Basically, they will underwrite your case as if you're still in Canada or the US. And the conditions are a little bit more strict than what we find in North America. So they will go up to 70% loan to value. The rates are right now 7.5, 8%, so a little bit higher than Canada. And also the amortization is usually 20, 25 years, right? So they will go to 30 years. So they're a little bit more strict terms, I would say. And most of these banks would lend to a foreigner only on one property as a vacation renter, right? So
Okay.
it's definitely not the same environment as we are using Canada or the US, where, if you do things right, you can scale, benefiting from financial leverage. Yeah, it's not the same case here.
Okay.
But
And then, so I know you mentioned you have 4 properties down there now, and I don't want to, probe too much, but how did you acquire them if financing is a challenge?
yeah, what we did is we actually brought some capital. So we sold a couple of properties in Canada, and we
Okay.
also got a HELOC at some money from a HELOC at some point in time. So in our case, we purchased the properties cash. We
Okay.
bought a 2-bedroom villa in a nice gated community first. That's the one we had as a rental and the one that we moved into when we were here. It was
Okay.
not a good investment, but anyway, I didn't get the right advice. It was a villa in a gated community and where it's all beautiful, but during the slow season, occupancy wasn't that good for short-term rental, right? So I had the opportunity to change it into a long-term rental, which here it's an increasing share of the market, especially furnished property, where you can rent to foreigners that are coming here to live, right? So maybe the first year they are building something or they are just looking around to see what they want to buy. So they would need to rent first. So that was an option, but but the cash on cash return was not what I expected, right? So I sold that one. I also bought a lot also in a nice gated community, and we actually built this house that you see here. So this was custom built on that lot. We actually hired a Canadian builder that has been living here for about 10 years. So that was a really interesting learning experience.
Yeah.
And then we are purchasing a couple of pre-construction condos in a nice project in an area called Encuentro Beach here in the North Coast, which is an area that is booming right now, that I think it really has a bright future.
That's
So there
awesome.
are
That's awesome.
lots of opportunities to invest, but with everything that I've learned so far, I would say, especially for a foreign investor, condos are probably the best move, and especially some pre-construction condos where it's a good size project, reputable developer, where pricing is, you can still find pricing below a resale market as we were used to in Toronto until 5, 6 years ago. So those are what I see as the best opportunities, right? If you buy in the right location, that where you can have, good short-term rental and also long-term rental opportunities, that those are the best opportunities. So,
That's awesome. Now, for that, and I know we spoke about before the call, and you said the same kind of thing that you think the condos is the best for a Canadian because not only can they Airbnb it or whatever, they can also visit the property and use it when they're here, which is super cool. Now, what would you say the condos go for? Like just the average, like price wise in US dollars?
yeah. So for a nice project, I would say one bedroom will start at around 150,000, I would say, or they will range from 150 to maybe 225, and then for two-bedroom condos, I would say starting around 200 to 275. That's what I see as a most common, and the projects that I really like the most that are the right pricing in areas that are developing right now, versus maybe a condo in a very established area where the prices are, are where you would pay a premium, right? Especially if you buy resale. Yeah, all this year that I've been here and learning about the market really taught me, okay, what are the opportunities that are more interesting for investors, as you mentioned, right? Maybe for someone that wants to use it as a vacation rental that would pay for itself and likely appreciate based on how the market is performing here, which is really strong right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, how does it work with property taxes, condo fees, or maintenance fees? Are all of those same expenses there if you're going to run the numbers from Canada? Are all those same things apply?
Yeah, pretty much everything applies. So if you buy a villa in a gated community or if you buy a condo in a complex, you are going to have HOA fees, okay? And those fees will normally take care of most expenses, including gas, which here is just propane, maybe for the for the dryer or for the stove. It would include the basic insurance, all that stuff, plus all the maintenance of the complex overall. And then what you would have to pay on top of that is basically electricity, right? Which is not super cheap here. Electricity costs some money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you probably do use a decent amount because you got to have that air conditioner on, I'm sure.
actually, it's mainly during summer where you turn on
Okay.
the air conditioner, and usually at night. So most people will have AC units on each bedroom, and maybe not that common in the common areas. Uh, but it's mainly during summertime. Like for example, I would say since November, we're not using air conditioner at all. I
Okay.
mean, everyone
Nice.
has ceiling fans, right? So with the ocean breeze and the fans, you are good to go already.
Nice. That's awesome. I love it. That's so cool. Just again, just seeing you and knowing it's so cold here right now, it does. It makes me want to be there. So that's
Yeah,
incredible.
and I can tell you, in the summer, yeah, you have 2, 3, maybe 4 months where it can get really hot,
Yeah.
uh, but the rest of the year it's awesome. Like right now, the weather is just perfect. Honestly, we go to
Awesome.
28 degrees during the day, maybe 23 degrees at night, so you can still be eat outside on the terrace all the time.
Yep.
It's really nice.
Cool. Cool. Okay, so I have some questions. So
Yeah,
let's say somebody's listening to this and they're like, they want to get going. So I know you're a realtor in the area, and we'll touch on that in a second. But what steps, like what's step one that an investor, maybe step two, three, and four as well, but what are the logical steps that an investor needs to take to purchase down there? Should they set up an entity first? Do you know what I mean? To get bank accounts and
perfect.
stuff. Like, is that what they do first, or could you guide us
Yeah,
through those steps to get going?
excellent. Great question. I want to start by saying that property rights here for foreigners are excellent. You basically have the same rights as local Dominicans or foreigners that are already residents here, right? So you can purchase a property in your name, or you can very easily, set up a corporation, a LLC, and have the LLC purchase the corporation. So and it's very easy, and it's not cheap to set up a corporation at all, right? So the property rights are really excellent. And it is like that because the country really incentivizes foreign investors, right? So they give you the same rights as everyone else. So that's pretty good. So most convenient is to buy just the property and cheaper in your personal name. But if you are planning to buy more than one property, maybe it makes sense to form an LLC, which is what my wife and I have done, for example. So yeah,
Okay.
I would say maybe the first step, if someone wants to explore the opportunity of getting some a lender financing for that 70% of the purchase price, that can apply for resale or even for pre-construction projects. The first thing would be to get pre-approved by the bank, because all the pre-approvals, all those processes here take much longer than what we are used to in Canada.
Okay.
So if you want to, buy a property first and then hope to get financing, it's going to be very difficult. So it's better to get the pre-approval first. And that doesn't guarantee 100% everything, but at least you will have the pre-approval, and the bank, prior to closing, they will ask for all your financial documentation again, basically to revalidate that nothing has changed from the time where they gave you the pre-approval, right? So that's, I would say, the first step. Then the process to purchase a property is actually pretty simple and straightforward. So it is a really good process. The main challenge here, and we can get in that at some point in time anyway, is finding a good opportunity, because this is a market where you don't have the transparency that we are used to in the US and Canada, where you have a multiple listing service, and at any point in time, the properties that are for sale and the properties that just sold, you can get the recent sales transactions and prices, right? It doesn't work like that here. You have to, scrap different websites and do a lot of work just to understand, what's for sale, and a lot of information that you find online is not accurate, right? Because they are listings that have been sold already. Maybe the price looks really attractive, but it's just marketing bait for someone to tell you, hey, no, sorry, we sold that property already, but we have all these others to offer, right? So it is, it can be quite a challenge to find that right property. And of course, it's very important to work with someone local that can guide you through, which are the good reputable projects or good developers, the right areas, the right occupancy rates, everything to run your numbers. But once you find the property that you want to make an offer, uh, making an offer is similar to how we do it in Canada. You can present an offer with all the conditions that you want, but there are no regulated forms like the OREA forms in Ontario, right? So it's just an offer where you should be putting as much detail as possible. You negotiate that, everyone signs on that, and once you have that as an accepted offer, both parties will give it to the lawyers to prepare what is called a promise of sale. So that's the legal document that's going to be used to convey the sale at closing time, right? So from that point of view, it is different, but the process is still pretty straightforward. It is key to make sure that everything, as much as possible, is on writing, so that then the lawyers don't have issues, right? Negotiating the promise of sale.
Okay.
Yeah, then it's very important to have a good lawyer that will do the proper due diligence and check the title, all that stuff, as we are used to in Canada. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, right? So the property will be registered with the government, so that process starts at closing day. So you take ownership, but then there is a process that that has to happen in the government, and it may take several months until you actually get the title in your name. But the good thing is that doesn't prevent you from, let's say, turning around and selling the property again, right? The lawyers can work with that, even if the government has some delay, which can be 6 months or more, until they actually issue the new title in your name. Okay.
Okay. No, that's interesting. So we do have to wrap up, but I have one quick question, and then I'd love for you to share your contact details for everybody. But so being a realtor, right? And that's what you represent for obviously the clients. Yeah, I guess ultimately my question is, how can they get in touch with you to move forward if they're looking to buy property there?
Yeah, excellent. So I don't know if you may want to add my information, but through phone number. WhatsApp, it was work better here, right? Or just via regular email. Yeah, people can write to me at Sergio at drproperties.ca. So that would be an option. And that's the email from the broker that I sign up with. Okay. So the
Yep.
broker is called DR Properties. It's a very niche broker with with decades of experience and a great reputation here in the North Coast. And it's a team that has worked with investors in the past. So that's why I chose to sign up with them because, yeah, I have lots of experience investing, but only 1 year in the Dominican Republic, right? So
Yeah.
for me, for my own sake, and also to be able to help clients properly, it was very important for me to sign up with a really great team that has a power team that can have my back with anything that I need.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I love it. Thank you. So I'll share your phone number and the notes for this.
Okay.
But no, I really appreciate you, Sergio. I know it's a super exciting opportunity. That's why I wanted to have you on because, you know, I'm in Canada still. I love Canada. There's lots of investors that love Canada too. But some people are looking for something new and different, right? And that's kind of why we got into the States. And that's why I'm also very interested in Dominican Republic and just getting this
Yeah.
going. So I wanted you here to show Canadians what's available.
Excellent. That's great, Scott. Thanks for having me. Great
No
talking
problem.
to
Thank you,
you.
Sergio. Take care.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Good. I think it was good. If you're serious about real estate investing and you want to take it to the next level with the least amount of time and mistakes, then you're going to want to sign up for our Real Estate Investor Hub. Visit CanadianRealEstateNetwork.com and hit the blue button or banner that says Free Investor Resources. Inside, you'll have access to real estate investing courses, networking opportunities, webinars featuring industry professionals, as well as dedicated chat channels to share and get access to unique properties. I look forward to seeing you there.